Was Nate prepared to kill Maddy if he had to? Please click yes or no, and then we will analyze the results.
I just love that she wore a Malcolm X t-shirt when she was calling Ali. It depicted the teachings of Islam very beautifully, which is forgiveness.
I'm also an addict from alcohol though. I'm 11 months sober. So like all of this is like really relatable for me.
Lying and saying you have a brain disorder to break up with somebody, like that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
There's such a good story there and they just made it so,
There's some alleged drama between Kat, the actress, and the showrunner. It's hard to not believe these rumors when the show has really dropped the ball significantly on this character. Welcome everyone, I'm your host, Wim Yelton, and today we will be talking with 8 strangers who have just finished watching season 2, episode 6 of Euphoria for the first time. Tonight, we hear these Euphoria superfans' raw reactions as they debate, review, and analyze the episode. At the end of the discussion, each panelist will rank the episode 1 to 10, and I will average up the results to give this episode the official rating provided by the men and women on this panel. In the description box below, there are time codes to this discussion. If you like what you see, please click that like and subscribe button. Any support is greatly appreciated. Without further ado, I present to you this episode of Who Needs a Film Critic?
So darling, stand by me, oh, stand.
All right, so if the last episode showed how low Rue could go, it's without question this episode showed how low Nate could go. The scene I'm talking about obviously is Nate holding a gun to Maddy's head. So I'm curious, what did you think Nate was going to do? You should each see a poll on your screen. Was Nate prepared to kill Maddy if he had to? Please click yes or no, and then we will analyze the results. The vast majority of this panel, 7 out of 8, 88% says no, he was never going to kill Maddy. One person on the panel said yes. So raise your hand, whoever the lone wolf is.
I mean, I think if he showed up there with the gun and he went as far as he did, I think he had the potential to kill her.
So were you fearful watching that scene?
Yeah, I think so. Especially with like my history with domestic violence. Like I've definitely had guns put to my stomach before. And so it was a very intense scene. I think he could have definitely done it.
You know, to Lauren's point, he brought a gun. You know, who's to say he wouldn't pull the trigger?
I said no. I didn't think he was going to kill her. And the only reason I said that is because he cares about his reputation. I think because he's already been accused of doing something to her, he would have been the first person they looked at, you know, as the murderer if he did kill her. And his whole intentions right now are he doesn't want his father's reputation to get ruined because the business is going to be his. He really don't care about his dad. He cares about the business. He cares about the money. He cares about himself. He don't care about nobody. And I think the only reason he's going to Cassie now is because now he knows Maddy is definitely done with him. He needs somebody.
Is Maddy done with him though? I mean, a gun is different than a literal, punch in the head, but still, both are pretty bad. She went back to him after the punch. What's to say she's not going to go back to him after having a gun to her head? It seems like all these girls in this town just cannot get enough of Nate Jacobs.
Yeah, it's just all about control with him. Maddy he has, so he went and did this awful thing. I mean, that was absolutely terrible, that whole situation. The only reason why I don't think he was going to kill her is because he was like pointing the gun at his own head and pulling the trigger to scare her.
What were we getting from that?
I wasn't concerned with him killing Maddy for some reason. I feel like he still might have some sort of protective feelings over her, even though it sounds counterintuitive because he was pointing a gun at her. But I was more concerned about him killing himself, or like if he popped into Nate's or some other person's place. I could see him killing someone else, but definitely himself.
There was at one point when I thought he would pull the trigger on himself, but in my mind I said that was to punish Maddy because Maddy hadn't reached out to him when he mentioned that there were like 38 missed calls from Cassie and not one from Maddy. So when he did point the gun to himself, I said, oh, he's going to try to hunt Maddy for the rest of her life. For like a split second, I said he could do this. He could do something like this.
His death would have been on her conscience, essentially, by doing that. Narcissists do that a lot. And the gun just brings a whole other level of fear to it as well. So it was abusive all around.
I just thought it was a tactic of emotional manipulation, really, plain and simple.
I think he's on the route for redemption. Like all the things he was doing was to redeem himself for all the things he did.
So you reject my whole question. I said that this episode showed how low Nate could go, and you're saying no. I think he's going. He's getting pretty good. He's redeeming himself.
I mean, I think he doesn't know how to do it because he never saw that role model. But for me, it was like he had childhood trauma. Even his mom, when she was talking about like, listen, you were a sweet, cute kid who was caring, would offer water, and I would just say yes just to see if you would do it, or you're just, trying to fake being nice, and he was genuinely nice, and he would go get his mom water or whatever she wanted. And then she realized there was a flip of a switch that happened at a certain age, and he just changed. And it is traumatic. Like the things you see, he didn't probably know about sex at that age. And then he's seeing his father do all this stuff. Like that's very traumatic. So I think Nate is a good guy that just had a flip switch of childhood trauma, doesn't know how to undo it, doesn't know how to fix it, but he's trying right now.
The first scene of the evening that I'd like to talk about is not the scene that we've just mentioned, but the scene that takes place after, where, as Shahana would say, the storyline of his redemption may or may not be beginning. So let's take a look at the scene with him and Jules. It's the first time that these two have shared a scene together since season 1. So let's take a look and then discuss.
I'm sorry for everything that I've done to you. You didn't deserve it. I found out about you and my dad from this desk.
And you've seen it?
Yeah.
Why are you giving this to me?
Honestly, the answer is too stupid and simple. It's better if we just keep it a mystery.
What, did you become like a good person?
Absolutely not, no. You should have seen what I had to do to get it. Hey, everything I ever said was true.
Same here.
So where do you guys want to start the conversation?
Nate is a manipulator. He has an agenda. There's something going on as to why he's giving the tape to Jules. And I don't think it was to protect Jules or to, have her trust him in any type of way. He is a master manipulator, period.
There was no reason for him to give it to her.
Markeisha set it up. She goes, he has something up his sleeve. But Shahana, you're saying, no, there is no reason. Like he was doing this because he is trying to make amends with Jules. So that's an interesting divide that I think this panel has. Raise your hand if you agree with Markeisha that there's something that Nate has up his sleeve and that everything he's doing in this scene has purpose behind it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Raise your hand if you agree with Shahana that he is trying to make amends with Jules. 1, 2, 3. I'm the third. Okay, Aisha, you're the fourth. So we are split right down the middle.
I don't really think much is going to come from it. I don't think Nate had too much of an ulterior motive other than controlling the situation, trying to get Jules on his side, and then, getting rid of the disc once and for all.
I think that it's all about him. It's not about Jules at all. It's about the way that he feels about Jules. If you look at it, he even tells her, I have something for you, but you have to listen to my apology first. When she goes to get out, he grabs her arm. Like, it's about him. It's about how he wants to feel. And she's just kind of collateral damage in that situation. Right now, it's good, but we saw when that was deflected bad on her previously. And I think even if it looks like he's doing something nice for her, at the core, he's doing it for him.
If there's one storyline that's been pretty much consistent with him, is that here's a guy that's struggling with his sexuality. And I don't think he's ever been in love with Maddy. I don't think he's ever been in love with Cassie. You know who I think he has been in love with? I think the one genuine connection he had was when he was texting Jules pretending to be someone else, catfishing. Cassie, Jules, what do they have in common? They're blonde. If you looked at them from behind, perhaps you could mistake them for one another. I think on episode 2 of this show, when he's in the hospital and you see this montage between him kind of fantasizing about Cassie, it's intermixed with Jules taking photos of herself. So to me, this whole Cassie storyline is him trying his best to make him believe that he is in fact straight, but he knows deep down that he likes Jules. And I think this is a scene where he is trying his best to relay to her, look, everything I said was true.
So this could be a tactic to make the villain seem like the nice guy again, so that who knows what Jules decided to do. We already know Jules is addicted to affection. So who knows if he gets back on Jules' good side. That's still a tactic. Like there's still something with that for him to have some type of control. So no, I don't feel like it comes from a genuine place at all. Even he had a moment to tell the complete truth about who was able to see the tape. He just made it seem as if his dad left and he had took the tape. He didn't mention that it was from Maddy, and Maddy possibly saw the tape as well. So if you were truly trying to redeem yourself, you would be completely honest in that moment. And he wasn't. Do I think he was dishonest in the entire dialogue? I don't. Like, I do feel like he had feelings for Jules. But as far as what he's doing to manipulate this situation, no, I don't feel like it's genuine. I don't.
We haven't discussed the line that she says back to him.
Same here.
Same here, yeah.
What do we infer by that?
She was definitely
There's
in love with him.
mutual. Yeah.
She just wanted to get out of the car. She was like, yeah, me too. Same here.
While Nate showed his worst qualities in this episode, Rue showed a more softer side, especially after the last episode.
Hello?
Holly,
What do you want, Rue?
I just wanted to call you and tell you that I'm sorry for what I said. I never should have said that.
Rue.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Listen to me. I forgive you.
You do?
I do. Because the hour is certain to come. We must forgive graciously.
Thank you.
I just love that she wore a Malcolm X t-shirt when she was calling Ali. I was like, yes, finally. Like, I feel like it depicted the teachings of Islam very beautifully, which is forgiveness. Do not reduce a person to a moment of their life. Whenever we hit that moment, we think that no one's going to forgive us and that even God is not going to forgive us. And then mostly we don't forgive ourselves. But in Islam, it's repeated and over again. And every verse that starts, like every surah that starts, says that God is most merciful and most forgiving. So that God will forgive you. You just need to learn to forgive yourself and not be judgmental towards others or yourself. Because if God's forgiving you, who are you to judge others or yourself? Move on. You know what I mean? Like, heal yourself, know that it's not the end of lifetime, and do good. It's a second chance. Like, as I said, like I guess that's what I see with Nate too. It's like, you got to give everybody a second chance, like to redeem themselves.
The scene where he walked in with the family to cook, it felt like a family. And I was just like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, the mom was relaxed. The sister was tense at first, but she had relaxed a little bit.
She has been going through it. And I'm like, when is somebody going to check on Gia? Like, you know what I'm saying? So when the mom was just like, we have to be supportive. And it's just like, Ali's like, no, but like, she feels a certain way. She has the right to feel that way because she has to deal with this shit too.
Are we setting up maybe Ali and Rue's mom, or am I reading too much into it?
I agree. That's where I was kind of going to with Rue maybe having a better chances, is that maybe her missing piece, whatever, is having that fatherly figure, you know, back in the mix, and that's what she's kind of missing to get sober or to remain sober. You know, I think once she maybe has that father piece again, that might help her recover.
I mean, I only bring it up because every time the guy comes over, the mom is all dressed up and dolled up and everything. And then the first time Ollie even came over to introduce himself, he leaves and she goes, "Ooh, he's cute."
That's a bad
smitten.
I would love it. I love the vibe he brings to that family. I think it's just a different energy because, well, first of all, there's that male figure finally in the house, but it's also someone who knows what Rue has gone through, and he knows what her family's going through too. You know, he really is great at giving everyone in the house a voice and letting their opinions be heard. And I think he's really great for the family. I really hope that they get together and he stays there for a while.
I think every scene he was in was my favorite scene. The Jolly Rancher part. I was so curious as to, was there any type of significance to a Jolly Rancher and a struggling drug addict or anything like that when it first happened. And then when she called him and apologized and he forgave her immediately, she was able to relax and open that Jolly Rancher. And that just shows you the power of forgiveness.
I think the Jolly Rancher was just showing a passage of time to her being able to open it later on.
This whole like kind of thing kind of took me back because I'm also an addict from alcohol though. I'm 11 months sober. and all of that. So like all of this is like really relatable for me. And when she was trying to get the Jolly Rancher, I think it was just major withdrawals because for me, I could not open up anything because my hands were like crazy.
LaShawn, while we're on this subject, I'm really interested. You hear all these complaints online about Euphoria as being a show that glorifies drug and alcohol. So do you feel like it's showing the pitfalls of addiction, or do you feel like it's glorifying alcohol and drugs?
I can see how they think it's glamorized because the cinematography is like on point, but it's not glamorized at all. It's as raw as it can get, and it's really accurate. I really wish I came to the panel for the last episode because that episode perfectly described how it is.
And my last question on this subject is, can this show be triggering for someone who is in recovery? And if so, is it good or bad to watch a show like this?
Depends on the person. For me personally, it is triggering, but not to the point where it's like, I want to drink or I have a craving or anything. For me, it's triggering to the point where I am emotionally back to where I was before. And it's kind of a reminder of how far I've came since then.
It's slightly cathartic.
Yeah, very cathartic, actually. Yeah.
What we're seeing now from the last episode to this episode is this cycle that happens with addicts. They go unhinged, they start to get better, and then they slip back down. That's why I think the rest of the season is going to be a slide back down, because it wouldn't be very realistic if she just walked away and got better at this point. That's not what happens. Addiction is terrible. It's a disease. And how we saw her with the Jolly Rancher at the beginning, that is how people get, whether or not she gets into rehab.
Did anybody understand about the whole rehab facility? Is there just not enough space?
They suck.
Which makes me upset. Like there's space in jail all the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
on.
But they don't want to make space for rehab.
I got really lucky that I was able to go to a rehab, but I really had to plead a huge, like, solid case.
While Ali might be back in Rue's life, it looks like my boy Ethan is now out of Cats. We haven't explored these two's relationship since episode 1, so it's only fitting that we talk about them in our last scene of the evening. Let's take a look and then discuss.
I have a brain disorder.
What?
I think it's terminal.
What is this terminal brain disorder called?
No, because you're gonna Google it and then read about it.
I feel like you're lying to me.
The fact that you think I would even lie about something that awful means there's a big problem in this relationship, which is like literally what I was trying to say in the beginning.
No. In the beginning, I feel like you started to break up with me, and then you pivoted to telling me that you got like a terminal brain illness.
That's your experience?
That's the experience. I think we need to break up.
My boy Ethan be done dirty by this show. First off, he gets barely any camera time. He doesn't have a flashback, and now he's broken up by Kat. Ethan's my boy. If season 1 was Fez, season 2 is Ethan. I just want to know more about this guy. He cannot be as normal as he looks, but I digress. Thoughts on the scene?
That was the realest thing somebody could have done as far as how he handled Kat in that moment, because Kat made me so upset with what she was doing, and the fact that she never broke character, even when he was calling her bluff. Like, she's just still going at it, like, oh, well, you're gonna do this, and he's just like, I don't have time for games, girl, bye. I'm gonna pull your car and I'm gonna dump you, and then I'm out. And the bill's on her, because did they even order food already? Like, he didn't even pay the bill. Like, yes, go Ethan.
This was like the worst scene for me. Like, I hated it.
She was so
I didn't want to watch it again.
Sorry.
She's such a great actress. There's such a good story there, and they just made it so like, no, it fell flat for me. It was so uninteresting. I was like, I didn't like it. I hated it.
I agree. It's my least favorite scene in the show. I really like Kat in the first season. I really did like her because she had like this newfound freedom, and now like she's just like bored.
I agree with LaShawn. I really liked Kat. I loved her character, but the more and more that her storyline plays out this season, the
Or
more
lack
I
thereof.
dislike her. She's just bullshits all the time. She's trying to gaslight him and then, manipulate him as well. She's just kind of tearing everyone down.
She's laughing with Maddy about how fucked up Cassie is, and it's just like, you're just as trash as Cassie. Like, you're just doing something on a different level. Lying and saying you have a brain disorder to break up with somebody, like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
I don't understand what her role in this is anymore. Like, I don't even what her storyline is supposed to play a part in the grand scheme of things.
I'm sure some of you have seen some of these articles that have been written about
I was gonna
Euphoria
say that.
and how there's some alleged drama between Kat, the actress, and the showrunner.
Oh.
I have always thought that this was a rumor and not true, but it's hard to not believe these rumors when the show has really dropped the ball significantly on this character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could make an argument that, maybe season 3 is Kat's season, and this season they're focusing more on Nate and Cassie and Maddy. But regardless, I think we all agree that this is the worst storyline of the show. They've not done anything really with it. We really spent all this time building up this great kind of connection between Ethan and Kat in season 1. Even if this season was to build up to her breaking up with Ethan, the show's done a horrible job with it. I mean, we have not seen any scenes with the two of them together, except for like 1 or 2 scenes that are like 30 seconds out of the episode. Do we buy the rumors online? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
I buy into the rumor shit. If somebody stop having scenes on the show and they in the news for some shit, I'm gonna believe it.
Also, her storyline, Cats, it's confusing because the first season, she obviously has the whole empowerment thing, but this season she is such a follower and a yes person, and like she has no voice. And I had no idea about the rumor of the showrunner and her, so that makes perfect sense.
I still maintain that it's alleged, but combined with the evidence that we've seen with the rumors, it is pretty freaking suspicious in my opinion.
Well, it's not just Facebook. Like, people had tweets pulling up from her like previously, so I think it's legit.
Maybe she saw that scene and she hated it.
Why'd she even come up with that excuse out of all freaking excuses? Brain disorder.
How does she think she's going to get away with a story like that?
I'm cured. Oh, cool. Do you want to go back out with me again? No.
I've actually had someone use cancer as an excuse. Like, my ex-husband, as like a manipulation thing, try to say he had cancer at some point. So motherfuckers really do that.
Every scene you can apply to your own life. It's like, did they write this script about you?
Listen, I love the show. Very relatable in all the ways.
Did you believe him?
Did I believe him?
That he had cancer.
No, I was probably good 19 years old and a little more naive. So for a second there, I did.
All right. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to review. Each of you has sent me your ratings for this episode, 1 to 10, 1 meaning you hated it, and 10 being you absolutely loved it. I have averaged all the numbers together, and it is time for me to reveal the results. Tonight, the panel has rated this episode as a 7.8.
I rated it a 7. I needed some people get their ass beat. I'm sorry. I needed Cassie to get her ass beat this episode. And the fact that it ended with Maddy being traumatized, like, that pissed me off. The cat scene pissed me off. And now I'm just anxious to get to these last 2 episodes to figure out how all of this is going to play out. So,
yeah, I also rated it 7. Coming from last week's episode, which was a perfect episode, it just didn't have the same energy.
I rated it a 9 simply because of the dialogue with Ali. And I mean, that carried the episode for me. So the fact that I loved his scene so much, I rated it a little bit higher.
I rated it 9, and I would have probably done 10 if Kat and Ethan hadn't disappointed me so much. But I really loved it. Of course, the Ali scene was amazing. Zendaya's performance was phenomenal. Her struggles, of not being able to come out of or be able to redeem herself. Like we've all been through that, whether it's with addiction or some kind of traumatic experience. And then of course the Fez and Lexi. I just like that. I love Fez and Ash, and I can't wait for Lexi's show. I think it's going to be on next week.
I rated it a 7, and I'm really on page with all of y'all because I wanted to see more drama. I guess because I was on this high from last time. I even
The funny choice of words.
Yeah. Look, I know, right? But I
Yeah.
was ready to see some excitement. I wanted to see people get caught, people get beat up, but I did love it.
And I'm the critic, so who needs a film critic? But you know, I think this was the worst episode of the whole show. So I really dislike this episode.
Oh my God.
I'm hoping that the next episode redeems itself, and I think it's going to be crazy. I think, LaToya, you're going to get that drama that you've been wanting in the form of a play. So should be interesting. We got 2 more episodes left. I'd like to thank everybody on tonight's panel for this discussion. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are also on the podcast app, so type Who Needs a Film Critic to get all the episodes downloaded straight to your phone. That concludes today's panel of season 2, episode 6 of Euphoria. Come back next week to hear what some of these panelists and more have to say about episode 7. Thank you all. I'm William Yelton signing off.